Hi there people, so today is a very special day. This is my 150th video, so I like to make it a bit special, which is why this is two videos in one. Two in one. One part of the video is comparing the old lenses, which are sitting behind the camera, to new lenses, which is what's filming right now, the kit lens. More about that later. The second part is showing all my phones here, another one, there's another one here, and we'll see how the new lenses compare to old lenses and how all my old phones stack up to new ones. So stay tuned! Now the first phone that I had was this old Ericsson GA628. Had a big antenna stuck on it and has a very small screen, and it had no features whatsoever. This is as basic as a phone can get. Like, what, there's a phone book and it has numbers so you can dial things, and that's it. I believe it also sent SMSs, so, but anything above that was way too much. So the first phone, very basic, very old, and yeah, nothing fancy. Now the next one that I had, I actually don't own anymore, it got destroyed or something, and it was the Ericsson T10s, which was basically this, but just a lot smaller. Put a picture right here, bang. And after the T10s, which was in purple, I owned a T20s in blue. That was awesome. It revolutionized the phone concept because it had one thing that the phones before didn't have: games, and that is awesome. The games it had were basically clones of all arcade games of Pac-Man, Arkanoid, and Kicks. And if you don't know what that is, just go to your computer and like Google and find out. The game that stayed in my memory the most was Ericsson, which is a clone of Kicks, of course. But other than that, it didn't change much, other than the games, of course. The phone that came after that was an R600 from, I believe what this was then called, Sony Ericsson, which is when Sony and Ericsson like merged together. And that was another big revolution. Now that had a much bigger screen, like twice as tall. It's like that big, and it changed colors. It was like backlighting was it was green, red, and orange, I believe. Yeah, that was that three colors. And because it was much taller, it also had pictures, like simple, like smiley face with dots, like dot, like smiley face and primitive pictures, but it had that. Yeah, so it was very revolutionary. And one thing you might notice is that I'm big cropped now, which is why I'm using another lens. I'm using a Pentacon 135 f2.8, and those are M42 lenses, and I'll explain it at the end of the video. But the R600 had a huge problem. The battery lasted maximum 1.5 days. That's it. With no usage, that's how much it lasted. So it's a problem. And I returned to the T20s. I'll wait some more. And then I got my favorite phone of all time, probably. Sony Ericsson T10s. And this phone is with me like 10 years and it's still working properly, even though I've thrown it into walls and smashed it with hammers and so, it's working properly. Like you see, this side is all scratched up, this should be gold, and I have a sticker on it and everything. Still working properly. If like all the features that the R600 had are in here, except for the backlighting is blue and everything. Yeah, I got all the features from that, but simplified, and the battery lasted like forever. Seriously, I had it for 1 week easily. I like calling constantly, sending SMSs. This phone, hands down, my favorite phone of all time. And then, of course, it was the era when the color phones begin sort of creeping, like, yeah, like touchscreens now, but there was like colors. So like, that's like the monochrome phones, and like color phones, like yum yum yum, eat them all. And this is why I got the color phone. This one, the Nokia 3200. And with colors, of course, came many things. One, the camera. That tiny thing there, that's a camera. It took pictures of extremely small resolution, and you will have a hard time recognizing if it's a person or a tree, but you know, it had a camera. That's good. It had color games, color backgrounds, everything was in color. This phone also had a light underneath here, which is cool. It also had a radio, proper FM radio. Yes, you can listen to a very radio station. What else did it have? Many things I didn't even remember, but it changed the game again. Changed the game. That's the whole purpose of color phones. Changed the game. It also had 1 megabyte of built-in memory. I forgot to say that. So it's not much things you can pull up on. You know, 1 megabyte of pictures. What can you get? Like 20 of them. So they're so small. Oh, and the MIDI. Yes, polyphonic ringtones. And you can transfer them from phone to phone by using this IR emitter here. That's cool. So you can actually share stuff now. And other than that, it was a revolutionary phone for its time. You know? Colors, MIDI, radio, light, and those had a good battery life. But you know, after a bit of time, you're not really, how can I say this? It starts to sort of, the shyness fades away and you need something better. And that is, a couple of years later, I got the Motorola E398. And that was another phone that changed the game because it had a micro SD expansion slot and stereo speakers and a better camera and a better screen. Everything that was on this phone, but better. Yeah, it was so revolutionary that it was not sold in this country. Had to import it from England. Yeah, it's a T-Mobile version, as this T. It was so good, it was imported from England and not sold in. But yeah, everything that I got was better. It had a VGA camera with the zoom, so that is better. Had a mirror so you can take self-portraits, like, you know, I didn't need to demonstrate that. Had a headphone port up here, you won't be able to tell that, like there. Stereo speakers, which is awesome. A much bigger screen with much more colors. Say much, way too much. Like 65,000 rather than 4,000. Yeah, traditional Motorola phone. It was rubberized, so you didn't want to away from your hand while you were extreme gaming. But you know, even this old extremeness when it was new faded away. So I got a new phone, like always. I got a Nokia 6131 or 6131, it's boring, and that always had problems. It was a good phone, pretty much the same as the Motorola, but you know, better in every way, like better screen, better camera, radio, again this one didn't have it. Other than that, it was better in every way, but the speaker of this had thing speaker always broke like 3 times on me, and then I said go to hell and bought this one, the Sony Ericsson W850i, and my headstands were improved for some reason, or injection. But this phone, again, nothing had changed. Just traditional Sony Ericsson featured phone, you know, you slide it. So yeah, you can slide it, and it had the camera, which was dreadful. Just remove it. It was so horrible. You think that with new technologies they would make it better, but no, they somehow made it worse. And the screen was good, and also with the keys, and it was a Walkman, so all the Walkman features were here. It had a card slot. Traditional Sony Ericsson phone. What should I need to add? But this one did have an important feature. It reintroduced me to a game that I like so much on the T20s. Can you guess what it is? Yes, it's Ericsson. This phone brought me back to Ericsson. I played all the damn time. Yeah, but this one was good because it had Ericsson. And somehow I managed to broke this connector down there, and it doesn't charge. So it's simple thing, but no worries. I also did the same thing to the Motorola. So this charging port down there is a bit broken, but I'll continue on after I change my lens. So chop, let's change the lens. I changed the lens to a Zeiss 50mm f1.8, and I'm recording again. Now, after that phone, if you remember which one it is, the Sony Ericsson, yes, I went to a bit of a taboo area for me, which was Samsung. And my sister once had a Samsung phone. It was like horrible. The menus were all out of place, the settings were wrong, never did what you think it would do. So I was like, hey, never buy a Samsung phone again, they're horrible. And then my sister picked up this one, the L700, in different color of course, and I said, this is excellent, like they fixed all of the problems. So I bought this one, and my mom had one, and they were all brilliant. The metal back, just if you listen to this, you probably can't hear, but it had a metal back, which was awesome, you know, finally an excellent build quality. The screen was not that good, you know, it was only like 176 by 220, not a very high resolution compared to the Sony Ericsson, but still nice. You know, the battery life on this was enormous. 2 weeks I could get if I wouldn't use it at all. Like 2 weeks. Imagine that on the phone today. And this was like 4 years ago. And I still have it. I bought it in 2008, and I used it even recently because this phone broke on me. Yes, I said I'll go back old school with keys and everything. And yeah, but it was a tremendous phone. I also gamed on it. I played some Ericsson because I found a Java file and put it in there. And yeah, you can see the usage, like behind the D-pad is all scratched up, and the screen is, oh, it's not scratched. Back, it's also in good quality, but yeah, this is an awesome phone. Everyone who has it, don't throw it away. And the main reason why I bought it, besides the excellent menus, good menus, is because it had a port charging, the standard Samsung one, and I cannot break this one. Seriously, it's a one-piece port, you know, one-piece connector. Like these ones, like what is it? Like these old ones, they're all like slotted and like tiny little, lot of tiny connectors making a big one. This is all one piece. Yeah, this is all one piece. So I cannot break it. It's like a USB port, imagine that. I learned that when I had my Nokia phone. that also never braked. So I said, you know what, I'm not going to buy a phone unless it has this sort of connector. So yeah, so I had this one for a very long time. It worked brilliantly, you know, like features didn't change much. Still had a camera, still had radio, still had a color screen. It didn't change much. Now this one had the micro SD slot, you know, that one, the Motorola one that had on the first, only supported up to 512 megabytes. That was a bit small. It didn't have much files on it. This one supports like up to 16 or something, so that's no problem. Or maybe it's 4. I'm not sure. But supports much larger cards for more data and more music and everything. So yeah, so good, excellent all round. That's how it sum it up. Doesn't do anything like brilliantly. The camera's not brilliant, the screen's not brilliant, but the battery life is brilliant. But it doesn't do anything so wrong, nothing too good. It's an excellent all-rounder, like no package, you know. And then of course that was the time where touchscreen phones broke in, and that said, I'm going to buy a touchscreen phone, and so I bought it. This one, another Samsung, the Omnia, the first one, i900, and this phone is a mistake. The screen is 3.2 inches, it's resistive, that's quality, you know, like back in the day every phone was resistive, there was no capacitives except from the iPhone, but the problem with this one were two things. One, it had Windows Model 6.1 Pro, and for touchscreen it works as well as putting, I don't know, diesel in a... And I'm back, my battery ran out, so I'm now recording on my Wave in HD. So, I mean, it may look crappier, but anyway, what was this thing? Oh, the Omnia. Yes, this phone, the Windows Mobile version, like, sucked balls. That's how I'm gonna say it. The touchscreen experience was bad. The icons were way too small, like that big, and you can never press it without using the stylus, and you know, so I installed I installed SPB shell, and that solved the problems and made the battery life better. And the battery life was another problem, which was only like 2 days or 3 if I'm lucky. So it's like, you know, why I'm gonna use this? The camera was good. The camera was excellent, 5 megapixels autofocus. Did its job very well. But the UI was just horrible. Don't buy this phone now, and if you have it, buy a new one. So I went back to this one. This one does still things very well. And then I said, you know what? HD is the future. So I bought an Omnia HD, and that had a Symbian OS and a better camera, and an AMOLED screen which was larger and of high resolution, and that did the job very well. Like, the screen was good, and so was the camera, and the OS I thought was like okay. You know, everyone like jumped things like Symbian is old school, oh, don't buy it, it's gonna break down, it's all slowing. I never felt that, except at the point where it deleted all my data. But there was some minor complaint which almost made me smash it. Anyway, so I just, no, Android. There's like Android time. You know, after only like 1 year, I was very happy with it. But well, Android 2.2 and 2.3, and that was like, buy Android, has apps and it's like open source and features and all the things, you know. So I'm like, you know what, why don't I try it? So I sold my phone, so I don't have it anymore, and I bought this one, which made my life much more horrible. The Motorola Milestone. Now, day one I installed Android 2.3, Cyanogen mod, hacked it, rooted and everything, and it was good. The QWERTY keyboard, which I turned upside down, did the job very well. It sent a lot of SMSs and emails, and that job very well. And generally worked fine. The camera was not that good, and the video, because I'm a vlogger, wasn't very good. No HD there, so now it's sacrificed for a keyboard. And the screen, not as good. But then again, Android, that was the feature that I liked the most. Right to the point where the screen like broke. I saw it, I vlogged it, you saw it. Like the screen like woo, crazy up and down, like, or refused to work. Then in later stages, the keyboard refused to work. Like, what, with the smash to it, sort of like put in the freezer, did crazy things to it. So that, what, going back to this phone, I went back to this phone so many times, saved my life. And then my dad said, what, you need to buy a new phone. And I did. After like 1 month of having this one again, I did, and I had the one that I'm recording right now. So you can tell me what the quality of the camera is like. I like the UI. It's Samsung's own Butter OS, and version 2, and it works fine. The build quality is excellent again. It's like a premium phone made of metal and things. But I have another big plus. The battery life is enormous. It's almost the same as this one. Like, this can run for a week easily, depending on which battery I put in it. Like, if it's a crap one, it doesn't. But that's what I expect. But with a good battery, I can get like a week of it like that, like easily. And that I did it wrong. But I can get a good week out of it. So I hope you enjoyed this messy episode. I used many lenses. I used many different cameras, like this one, that one. Tried to use my sister's camera, but it ran out of batteries. So yeah, just tell me if you enjoyed it. You can comment down there. You can subscribe up there. You can like it in that corner down there. And yeah, tell me if you like this 150th special video. Yes, and I'll leave you nice. What did I say? I'll leave you until the next vlog, daily episode, and goodbye.